tone down some oranges and some yellows, we got a movie.
Hey guys, it's Zach again. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about short filmmaking. So right now my friend Jimmie's just about to come over. We're just doing some post-production on our second short film that we've done. So I'll get him on camera and we can chat a little bit about that and talk a little bit about the process and how our workflow has evolved from the first short film that we did to this one. The whole point of this project was basically just to show people, not only to show ourselves, but to show other people that you don't necessarily need to have all this expensive gear that people always think about. We didn't have any fancy microphones. We didn't have any fancy cameras. We just ran around and shot everything handheld using these super high quality but compact mirrorless cameras. Just a little intro. This is Jimmie. We've made 2 short films together now. We're just doing post-production on the second one.
Well, this is the second film we've done together that I wrote and directed, but we actually did a couple other ones that I just worked on.
That's true.
Acted in a couple and then kind of production assistant on another. So
we've made a couple, which isn't that many in the grand scheme of things.
Nope.
But from the few that we've made, what's the most impactful thing that you've learned out of them?
Oh, geez.
Or takeaway, just something simple, right?
Yeah, I guess just making sure you have a solid plan is the biggest thing, because I think the first one we did together that I directed was Wisp.
Yeah.
And it's quite dialogue heavy, and I had never directed before, and I just made some rookie mistakes. And then I think the biggest thing is just making sure you give yourself enough time to complete everything you need to complete, because in both the projects we've done that I've directed now, it seems it's very frantic.
And we always go, I find, especially with our shooting schedule, it's usually really, really hectic and rushed and everything like that, but I find we get through it and we get it done because it's typically something that needs to get done, whether it's the actors are only here for the weekend or whatever, or it's just aligning everyone's schedule. But with post, you have a little bit more leniency. So, especially with, it's only us that need to do post, but when you're at work full time and then you got to come after and stuff like that, you only put so many hours in, and I find that tends to get put a little bit, not on the side burner, but it ends up taking a lot more than we always think it's
Yeah, it totally does, because even some people work really well if they can work for 14 hours straight. Yeah. And for me, I can't do that. I would rather do a bunch of short sessions, because I find if we start working for more than 5 or 6 hours, I start getting cooked.
My whole thing was I was just talking about kind of bringing it back to the basics of everything, even with the gear and stuff like that. So compared to the first one, where we shot everything on an FS7 and we had, dual system sound, external audio, everyone was labbed, everything like that. We had a boom op, we had a lot more crew there, and this one we're shooting on consumer, high quality mirrorless cameras. I found something really interesting that you said was, when we were watching it back, you were like, I couldn't tell the difference.
No, I couldn't. And I guess there's 2 sides to it, right? So for Wisp, the first one, it was more technical in terms of what we were using for gear, but it was only in one location. True. So everything was contained within the house, basically the 1 or 2 rooms in the house, right? And then with this one, a GH7 and a couple drone shots, just a shotgun mic, and but a lot of different locations to coordinate. And so that was more of the challenge with this one. Yeah. It was easier to sneak into a grocery store or a record store with just a GH7.
Which we did.
Which we did. Do that. Or in a late night diner or whatever, right? Be kind of tough to. I can't really tell the difference. And I don't think that the average watcher, when I show it to my brother or to my wife, I don't think they really notice a difference in quality. I think this one turned out just as good. This one had a lot of natural light as well. Yes. Which looks beautiful. Yeah. I remember when we did Wisp, we really played with all the dimmers in the house. And we didn't use any...
Even in that one, we didn't really do a lot of lighting, just because we generally didn't have the space or budget to do it. No. But I mean...
Or time.
Yeah, that too. But we did add some fill in and stuff like that when we did some close-ups and stuff like that in Wisp. But yeah, for this one, I guess just the interesting thing that I got out of that is it goes to show you that no matter what your budget is and what you're shooting on, like I have a lot of friends who always come up and ask me like, oh, like, you know, what camera should I get, or my camera I have shit. But the reality is whether you, even if you're using like a 6-year-old DSLR like a Canon T2i or something like that, as long as it can shoot HD, you can get some pretty good results with it.
Yeah,
as long as your story's good, right? As long as, you know, like,
yeah, I mean that's is your story good enough to hold the attention, I guess. Is it can look really pretty, and Zach is a wizard. He can make anything look pretty.
I try.
But yeah, you have to find the perfect combination of it looking really nice and then having a story that is intriguing enough that people want to watch it, right?
Yeah.
And there's a certain aspect of ego in it, I guess, as an artist, like whether you're a musician, a painter, a filmmaker, whatever, right? There's like the Venn diagram of the crippling self-doubt and then the bulletproof confidence, and then you're somewhere in the middle. So I find with myself, with Wisp and with Bonsai Dream, when the idea first comes to you, it's like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then as you get closer and closer, you're like, well, who the fuck would watch this? Like, no one's going to watch this, right? Yeah. And then at the end of the day, you end up somewhere in between, hopefully more on the confident side of things.
That's what I find. It's interesting how you go into shooting something so pumped, and then when you're shooting, you're like freaking out a little bit, going, is this going to turn out the way I thought it's going to turn out? And then you're hoping you can fix it in post, which is it's the wrong mentality. I don't mean fix it in post is like the whole thing was screwed up, but you're just hoping that you can get that story that you originally had in your mind.
And you hope that, well, with Wisp, it was interesting because the narrative was so linear, and it needed all the parts in the 9 minutes to make the story go. With this one, you could kind of choose the pieces that you wanted, right? So when we were taking a look at the footage for Wisp, I started freaking out a few times when we had entire takes where I thought none of it was usable. There was the one rookie mistake we made where Caitlin, her laugh, we could see the red light through her sweater.
You don't even necessarily, even if you have friends and stuff who aren't super into film but want to help out, it's good to have people just on set as continuity, just keeping an eye on everything.
Absolutely.
And that way you don't, because when you're in the zone and you're worrying about getting a certain shot and making sure audio is clear and stuff, you're not necessarily gonna notice little things like that. Where if you have someone else actually looking at the set, looking at your monitor over your shoulder.
Absolutely. One thing I was going to talk about is like what you said about having an extra set of eyes around is true, because when we were shooting Wisp, I was so focused on the performance.
Yeah.
I was specifically watching the performance that I needed somebody. Julie was there, my wife was there to do like script supervision to make sure the lines were being delivered properly. And then we had Kelsey Ramsey was kind of doing more of the continuity and just an extra set of eyes just to be like, you know, we had the problem with the microwave. The numbers kept changing on the microwave. We wanted to clear them out, and Kelsey was constantly on top of that. Like, you know, because there were a couple shots that I watched back in the dailies and the performance was great, and then the clock was messed up. So having Kelsey there to catch, she caught 99% of them.
Yeah.
Which was great to have her there for. Yeah. One other thing I learned from doing Wisp was that the set is the set is the set. So when you're not filming, you should not be in the space. Yeah. Because I remember we took a break one time and we actually had something to eat in the kitchen.
Yes, we did.
And then the faucet was kind of
it screwed the continuity up. Yeah,
it did. So that was a big learning thing as well. And it's interesting because I didn't get to apply a whole lot of the things I learned on Wisp with this film, because this was a very organic, didn't really
running gun.
Didn't have to worry about continuity. So I have to remember those things for the next time.
Exactly.
I don't know what's next. I mean, it's so crazy because when Wisp was finished, I had 3 or 4 different projects written, and I didn't know which one I wanted to do next. And then this one ended up coming to me one night. I was out for a walk at like midnight, and this idea came to me, and this wasn't even written. So who knows what's gonna happen next? You know, you never know. So.
That's awesome. What's your tip to give to anyone like looking to get into film?
I would say the biggest thing is that you just have to try. Like, you don't have to wait for your magnum opus or your great masterpiece to come to you, because if you keep waiting for that, then God only knows if you'll ever even start. So keep writing, keep creating, keep just trusting your gut that what you're making is at least somewhat good, and just go and do it. And then surround yourself with a good, positive team of people that want to do the same thing as you and have somewhat of the same vision, and it'll start to come together. Sometimes slowly, sometimes quicker, but that's the big thing, is just actually doing it and finding some people that empower you and make you feel like you want to do it.
So we just finished up editing. I'm just dropping Jimmy off and we're just gassing up.
It went so fast. I couldn't believe how quick we went. When we're focused, man, it's good. It's all done. A little bit of color correction. Tone down some oranges and some yellows. We got a movie.
Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I really hoped you learned something. We just finished up all of our editing and everything for the day. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. You can also follow me on Instagram @FilmZack. And until next time, see you then, guys. Peace.